Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Rewind That. It's your girl, Miss K. If this is your first time coming across my channel, welcome. Please be sure to subscribe if you like the vibe and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Today, guys, we're going to be going over the latest episode of Queen Sugar, Season 5, Episode number 6, called May 27, 2020. Okay, guys, before we get into this video, I'm letting y'all know I'm not doing y'all like I did y'all last week where I was super duper late with the episode. All right, we are doing this thing tonight, okay? And it's my birthday. How about that? That goes to show how much I love you guys. Shout out to all my Aries out there, by the way. And if you're not an Aries, I love you anyway. All right, guys, let's get into this episode. Now, the episode starts off with Darla and Ralph Angel, and they're getting ready to go on their honeymoon. Sounds like it's a 4-day trip. We don't know exactly where they're going, but Darla does say they're going to go be by the water, on the coast, by the Gulf, or whatever, right? So they're about to go and have a wonderful time, and they get right into the drama, guys. The moment that we have not been waiting for, the moment that I have been dreading, the George Floyd tragedy. Okay, so Micah and Charlie, they wake up to the news on their phones, and you know, Micah, he's taking this pretty hard because it's kind of giving him like PTSD because he already went through this with a cop already, you know, so he's just like really going through it. Then we get to Aunt Vi, who's always cooking as usual, and she's listening to the situation on the news, and then Proctor comes in, so we know that Blue is with them. So Aunt Vi is talking to Proctor, and she's saying that if somebody came into her diner with a counterfeit 20, she would deal with the situation in a number of ways before calling the cops, right? Like give the money back or just serve the man, you know, because obviously if you have to pay with a counterfeit 20, times are hard. All right. But then Proctor makes a great point and says, and that might not even be the story. You know, maybe that's not even what happened. We don't know what happened because they're always lying. Next, we get to Nova, and she's doing her little prayers to the ancestors, okay? And she starts to say the names of all the people that have been tragically killed by police. And, you know, of course, it's Tamir Rice and Alton Sterling and Eric Gardner and all those people. And George Floyd was involved as well. And then she starts breaking down. It was just sad. So it starts off like pretty much out the gate with the sadness, all right? Next, we have Charlie and Micah, who are still watching the tragedy on the news. And, you know, Micah is obviously bothered still. His mother's trying to tell him, listen, talk to me, let me know what's going on. He tried to brush it off, but she says, you need to let me know what's happening. Talk to me, because this is murder, and, you know, we're not going to stand for this. And Micah is like, is it murder? You know, is it going to be considered murder? Because they didn't do this on a dirt road somewhere or in a back alley. You know, they did this in broad daylight with people watching. And he just said that the murder of black people is very acceptable. And that was really deep. So, you know, he starts breaking down, crying. And I'm glad that he did let his mother know what was on his mind, because you got to let that stuff out, you know. Next, we have Nova and Calvin, and we get another good conversation with some great points being made. Nova is looking in some history books about lynchings and how people, white people, used to gather around to watch the lynchings of black African Americans. And it's just, it's disturbing, you know. And I've seen the pictures, some of the pictures that they showed us. I've seen this. You know, one with the little girl smiling and everything. And then Nova was saying that, you know, they used to put their Sunday's best on to go watch this. I don't care how many years go by that these things happened. It is still hurtful, and it still affects us, you know, because we're people, you know, and the fact that it happened always bothered us. And then the fact that it's still happening in a different way, it's just a different form now, you know, but it's like the same. So it's like now we have the KKK in blue now instead of white sheets. And I'm pretty sure y'all probably heard that before, you know, but it's a lot to take. And Nova also said something about, you know, she understands that cops are trained to protect each other. But how do you just stand there and watch another cop take a civilian's life? And, the part that bothers, I believe, pretty much everybody is the fact that you can't even call the cops now, for protection, because you don't know what the heck is going to happen if you call the police. Like, you think you calling the cops to help you. Them freaking suckers come in and make the situation worse. So it's like, who do you call when you need help? It's hard. And let me just clear something up real quick. All cops are not bad. I just wanted to say that there are some very, very good, upstanding cops out there. All right. So definitely not directing this to those cops that get out there and do their job and are serious about protecting and serving. Okay. Big up to them. Next, we got Darla and Ralph Angel on their honeymoon. And thank God for this little break. Okay. Because it's already too much for me, guys. Okay. Okay, so, she's over there taking her time, taking her little sexy knee highs off and things like that. And then he's like, what's your name? And she says, I'm Darla the wife. I replaced Darla the girlfriend and Darla the fiance. So that was a cute little scene. Thank you, because we need it. Also, I wonder if they're going to make a baby. That would be kind of nice because, Ralph Angel is not the biological father of Blue. And not that matters, but it would be nice for him to have a child that is biologically his. Now, nobody can tell him that Blue is not his, but it would be nice for them to have another baby. Next, Nova asks Calvin if he feels ashamed about what happened to George Floyd. And Calvin is like, ashamed? Like, what do you mean? For what? And Nova says, yeah, when horrible things happen by Black people's hands, we feel ashamed. And she also tells him that there's so many times when she's watching the news and she's like, please don't let the shooter be Black or the terrorist be Black, And she just simply wants to know, do they feel that? She's asking her white boyfriend, do white people feel the same way when white people do these things? And that is a great question. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy they brought this up. Listen, I already knew this George Floyd situation was going to bring some type of friction or tension between Calvin and Nova. Not to say it's going to break them up or nothing, but I knew it was going to be some difficult conversations ahead for them by way of Nova. Okay, we already knew. I already knew Nova was going to be the one to spark those difficult conversations. Anyway, so Calvin tells her that he felt disgust by the situation. And no, he didn't personally feel embarrassed because he had nothing to do with it. So Nova says, right, but if the cop that killed him were Black, I would have felt embarrassed. I would have felt shame. And, the daughter comes in, Calvin's daughter, and I really forgot that she lived with them. All right, she comes in and she's like, why do you feel shame? You had nothing to do with it. And Nova says it's because whenever a Black person does something, we're all like tied together as a collective. She said that every action made by a Black person is seen as a collective endeavor. And of course, that doesn't include the success that Black people have. So Calvin's daughter gets it. She's understanding where Nova is coming from. She sees Nova's point, which is Black people have a collective conscience in the eyes of white America. Like, we're all the same. We all think the same. Anyway, Nova is pretty much disgusted, that white people don't feel the same. Like, when one of your fellow white Americans do something that's heinous or terrible, you should feel ashamed. Like, if Obama was in the office doing something crazy, all Black people would be hanging their heads low, feeling ashamed about it. Now, here you got this imbecile in the office, and you don't have no qualms about it. You don't feel like nothing. And so she is just not feeling this, and she's pissed off, and she walks away from them. She walks away from Calvin, really, because it seems like his daughter understands a little more. Next, Micah's on the phone with one of his friends, and he's like, yeah, let me know when you coming through, bro, because it's time for the people to uprise. We trying to fight back and all that stuff. So Micah is really with this whole fight back situation. He also sees on the news that a lot of demonstrators have set fire to a police station. And he was like, oh, they deserve that, good for them and everything, right? That's what I'm talking about. So his mom comes in and she hears him. And she's saying, listen, this is not the way to do things, And he says, so what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to fight back with love? And she's like, yeah, what did Dr. King say? We can't become the thing that we hate. That's not going to help the situation. Dr. King said that we can't drive out darkness with darkness. She also gave a quote from somebody else, but she's basically telling him that love can do a lot of different things, than hate can. So the way you're trying to go about things is a dangerous way, and it's not the right way. Not only is it not the right way, it's not the way to solve things, because it's not going to solve anything. It's just going to keep it going and going and going. But honestly, Micah is not trying to hear that right now. He is an angry black man, and listen, I can't fault him for it, okay? He hit her back with, Dr. King also said that a riot is the language of the unheard. So he is trying to be heard. That's the bottom line. Anyway, then Charlie tells Micah that the council got word that there's a protest happening tomorrow and that it might be violence involved and there will be a police presence. And she wants to know if Micah plans on going to that protest. And Micah says, I helped plan that protest. Okay, so this is the difficult situation here, guys. When your son is growing up and he's a man and he starts making these scary freaking decisions and you're a mother who can really, all you can do is talk to him, but at the end of the day, you really can't stop him. It's freaking scary, okay? Next, Darla and Ralph Angel are enjoying their honeymoon. They just went swimming. And Hollywood calls Ralph Angel to tell him about the situation of George Floyd. Look on the news, he tells them. It's on any channel. Just look on any channel. So Ralph Angel turns on the news and he sees what they're talking about, okay? And he obviously saw the footage because he starts breaking down. He sees the officer with his knee on George Floyd's neck and he starts crying. And it's just like, oh my gosh, here we go. I'm waiting for this episode to be over at this point because, it's tough. Next, Hollywood, Aunt Vi, and Prosper are at Aunt Vi's Pies diner, and Hollywood is trying to board up the windows, just in case people trying to come through acting crazy. But Aunt Vi doesn't believe anybody's going to act crazy, So he needs a hammer, and Aunt Vi goes over to his toolbox to try to find a hammer, and she finds a gun instead. So she is not happy. So she is sitting down having the conversation with Hollywood about this gun. Why does he have it? Does he keep it in our house? And all that. Hollywood lets her know that he has it for a while. And yes, he does keep it in their house to protect the home. So Vi is upset because they apparently agreed that a long time ago that they would not get a gun. Like they would not have a gun. She feels like the presence of a gun means that it's violence and death waiting to happen. So as far as she's concerned, this guy's been lying to her the whole time, which is kind of true. So Hollywood is basically saying, look, nobody is even talking about the type of man that George Floyd was, whether he was a father, a brother, Nobody's saying any of those things. Did he have a wife? No one knows the kind of man that he was. And Hollywood is saying, listen, if I got to take a bullet to protect you guys, then so be it. Like, I'm going to protect mine. And, Aunt Vi, she understands it, but she's still not with it. She's like, a gun does not work for me. But Hollywood tells her, look, if I get got, the world is going to know that I knew what love was, and I fought for mine, and my loved ones allowed me to give them a chance to live. And that was that. Next, Nova, Calvin, and Courtney are having dinner, and Nova is keeping up with the protesting and the riots and things of that nature on the news. And, she's still bringing the heat on old Calvin, okay, because she has an article, and she says her article is about those who watch, because they have a lot to do with these murders as well, because they're just standing around watching, So she says to Calvin, I'd like you to tell me about the time you watched, years ago when you first got on the force. You told me that you watched a few police officers beat up a black boy. And the daughter, Courtney, is like, what? You watched something, Dad? So Calvin tells a story and he says that he finally got the courage to ask why the other officers were beating up this little black kid who just stole a chocolate bar. He got the courage to ask, why did they take it so far? And then the officer told him that it was a down payment. So it was like cop talk for beating up a black kid. You got to get them while they're young, so when they're older, they know what to expect. So that was pretty deep right there. But Calvin also says that, he made sure that he didn't put himself in that situation again. He learned his lesson and he wished that he would have done more. But no matter what he says, Nova is pissed. She doesn't care what he has to say. She's over it. Like, she's taking it out on him at this point, guys, okay? And, the fact that he's white and he was a cop is kind of like a double whammy. It really is. Next, Ralph Angel and Darla look like they're packing up and going home after hearing the news. At first, by seeing this, I didn't really understand why they were leaving. I mean, I get it, but I don't. Because it's like, what is going home gonna do? But I think, Darla is concerned about Blue because she's asking, did you speak to Blue again? How does he sound? So Darla's whole thing is she doesn't like the fact that children nowadays could turn on the TV and see the violence, see a man's life being taken, and see all the ways that this world is trying to kill African Americans pretty much. And so, she's like, it's traumatic, and that's very true. And it shouldn't be looped over and over, which is another true thing. I honestly feel personally that videos like that should be banned. Like, they should not, you shouldn't even be able to upload them. Like, there should be something in the system that stops them from being uploaded. Like, why is it okay to show people getting murdered on TV, on videos, on social media, as if it's a form of entertainment? I do not watch those videos, guys. I don't. I just can't. And I'm not about to let any of these tragedies that happen to these people, human beings, serve as some type of entertainment for me. Okay, I watch these shows for entertainment. I don't watch people get murdered on videos for entertainment. That's just my personal take. So I definitely agree with Darla that they shouldn't even be on the TV. It shouldn't be on a video. It shouldn't just not be allowed. It should be a law against it, just like there should be a law against people pulling out their phones, recording these things, and you're not calling the cops. All right. Meanwhile, somebody is getting stabbed up, beat to death, all this stuff, while you are recording instead of calling the police. Like, it's sad. But anyway, Ralph Angel says, look, I'm not in a rush to go back to that. Why do we have to leave? Like, there's people that vacation. They live like this all the time. Can't we just stay in the moment? I'm tired of feeling like death is always at my doorstep. I want to stay here. We only got 2 more days. Let's just do it. And I definitely agree with Ralph Angel. They deserve a break. But Darla says, I can't even argue with what you're saying, but I just want to hold our son. I want to hold my baby. And that's just that. Next, we get a scary moment with Ralph Angel and Nova at a gas station. And we get this ignorant white guy talking about Darla's shirt, which said Black Moms Matter. And he's like, oh, what about my mom? Like, just stop it. Just stop. So, Ralph Angel could not ignore the guy. At first he tried to ignore the guy, but the guy kept going. And he said, oh, so you're just going to burn down the city because one brother couldn't stop resisting arrest. So, they start going back and forth. But unfortunately, the guy said to Ralph Angel and Darla that the man, George Floyd, got what he deserved, which was like, ooh, that was just, I thought Ralph Angel was going to go and attack this guy, like, seriously. But I'm glad he didn't, because this scene was a little scary for me. Like, you just didn't know what was going to happen. And sometimes when you have people boldly having these conversations or coming and saying these things out of their mouth, you never know what they got. A lot of times, to me, it make me feel like they got a gun or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, why you so bold? So you got to be really careful when you come across people like that, because sometimes, because they know they carry, they feel like that's an excuse to mouth off because they feel like that's their protection. So I'm glad that they got out of there and they got away. But it's hard to ignore that type of ignorance. But nowadays, it's like sometimes it's the best. Next, we have Micah, Charlie, Nova, Calvin, and Courtney out there protesting, okay? And you see Micah look over at his mom, and she's out there saying no justice, no peace. And it just looked like it made Micah proud. He was like, wow, my mom is really out here doing this with me, And that was good. I think that was a good move for Charlie to go out there with him. She's like, you know what? You can't beat him. Join him. Next, Hollywood talks to Aunt Vi, and he tells her that he had to watch the video of the George Floyd tragedy. He tells Aunt Vi that in a way it was like him paying his respects to the man, And when he cried out for his mom, like, what did that feel like? You know, his mother has passed on and he was calling for her. Hollywood is saying, did he see her? Did he feel her in those last moments? You know, like the only thing that's left in this world to protect him was his mother, or the love of his mother, and he called for her. So, of course, I like how they did that. They tied in this George Floyd tragedy and him calling his mother with Hollywood's situation, because he just lost his mother. So he's a little more connected to it as well. So I kind of like how they did that there. But that was really interesting, because a lot of people were saying that too. Like, what, did he see her? You know, why was he calling for his mother who was already dead? Next, we have Darla and Ralph Angel home now, and they're talking to Blue, and Darla is telling Blue about the honeymoon and how much fun she had. So Blue wants to know, well, if it was that much fun, why did you come back so soon? So while Darla says, we missed you, man, I guess she wasn't going to try to tell him what was going on. Ralph Angel comes in and says, look, there's a lot going on right now, and we felt like it was best that we'd all be together. So to their surprise, Blue already heard about the George Floyd situation. So basically in this scene, we see that Darla was not trying to have this conversation. You know, she's like, Ralph Angel, please don't go too far with saying too much, okay? But Ralph Angel was like, look, it's time. Like, he got to know. Especially if she just finished saying that these young children, these black young children, are able to see this stuff happening on TV. They need to know the truth then. They need to have the truthful conversations. And Ralph Angel is absolutely right about it. So he tells Blue what Black Lives Matter means. And Blue says, but don't all lives matter? So Ralph Angel says, yes, but everybody doesn't act like it. So we got to keep telling them Black Lives Matter until they act like everybody's lives matter. So Ralph Angel goes on to tell Blue that the world has a lot of good things in it, and he wants Blue to experience all of it. But there are also some very bad things out in the world, and Blue needs to be aware of that as well. So now they're both telling Blue what he needs to do if he gets stopped by the cops. And Blue is like, but I don't break the law. And Ralph Angel is saying that doesn't matter. You know, when you're black in America, you get stopped by the cops. And so Blue is saying, well, can't we do something to change it? And Aunt Nova's always saying that we can change things. And Ralph Angel says, yes, you can do something to change it. You can stay alive so that one day you can do something special. So then Blue says, how do I stay alive? Oh my gosh, guys. And Darla just kind of broke when he said that, because to hear your baby ask how do you stay alive, like, that's that question right there is just heart-wrenching. So Ralph Angel gives him the rundown. You know, he says, if you get stopped, don't ever run. Even when you're scared, you don't run, because that is how they shoot you in the back. Then Ralph Angel says, rule number 2, if anything ever happens, call me and your mother first. And then he tells Blue that you're smart, and we know you're going to be all right in this world. You know, Blue is crying and everything, and it's really sad. I don't even really know what else to say to describe the moment. It's just sad. It's a shame that you have to have these conversations with your children. I tell my kids, well, I have one son that drives, and I tell him, listen, you need to have your license right next to you. Like, don't have it in your pocket, okay, when you're driving. Put it in the cup holder. Your wallet, put it in the cup holder, so this way there's no reaching for anything. You just got everything you need right there in case you get stopped by the cops, God forbid. And I tell my son, don't wear a do-rag while you're outside. You know, you don't need any kind of attention. You don't need any kind of negative attention that will cause the cop to want to pull you over, or cause the cop to want to feel like, oh, you know, you're suspicious or whatever. You know, it's a shame that you have to have these conversations, but you have to. You really have to. Anyway, guys, that's how the episode ended. And I'm glad the episode is over. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. I'm not sure what the next episode is going to bring, but I'm pretty sure that the topics are going to continue to be hard. So we'll just see what happens. All right, you guys take care and be blessed. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Stay alive. But rule number one is you don't run. Even when you're scared, you don't run. You hear me? That's how they shoot you in the back.